Good evening. I hope everybody's Shabbat was good. Mine was restful. I promise you, y'all, I didn't rest that much as I should have. I had a lot going on today. So y'all keep me in your prayers. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on. Y'all know that song. Y'all know the song. Come on in the room. Yeah, I'm hoarse today because I've been talking a lot. And I shouldn't be drinking anything icy right now. Saints, what's going on? Get on in here. We got some stuff to talk about. I'm going to do my little monologue. I have to learn my process with doing this. I have to do the monologue, the intro, and then go swing into the news. Y'all share, like, subscribe, hit the like button, kick that algorithm up so we can bring more people in this room to participate in these healthy conversations. So y'all are so funny. When I bring people on, I got messages. People don't like it when I bring people up. Y'all just like to hear me talk. And I promise y'all, I get tired of talking the whole time. So I bring people up to get their perspective. I mean, I got some nasty grams today from some people. I mean, hold on. Rio is finally eating. Hold on, y'all. Here we go. Hey, y'all. Sorry. Y'all hear me feeding Rio real quick. I had to do that because I almost forgot. So what's going on, family? Come on, let's get in here.
We got a real good conversation tonight. I really wanted to talk about the war, but something else came up. The diaspora war that's going on. I'm so, and to my Caribbean brothers and sisters and my brothers and sisters that's across the pond, and even my UK brothers and sisters, why is it? Y'all help me understand this. Why does it seem like the us, far as the ones that from the diaspora, y'all know I'm country as ever, diaspora, why are the ones that are over here in America are always the ones that are attacked in most cases? We get pushback saying that anything we got from Africa. We don't have any culture. We lack culture. I mean, it's just the whole narrative is getting on my ever last nerve. I'm like, why is it that the attacks always turn on us? So I kind of want to talk about those wars, the diaspora wars, diaspora wars. I'm sorry, diaspora wars. I want to dig into that. I'm trying to make myself say it correctly, y'all. I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about that because my daughter, which is, I like looking at generations and the concept of generations and how they function. My daughter, which you would consider to be Generation Z, she's 21. And we're gonna talk about TikTok as well tonight. TikTok, she watches TikTok. Oh Jesus, I got hot. And she listens to TikTok a lot, which that's her generation thing. That's their thing. Hold on, something going on with my air saints. It ain't blowing like it should blow. Hold on. I got a little warm in here. But she's Generation Z. And what she's been noticing is the people from the across the pond, and I even feel this living in New York, they kind of attack Black Americans. I'm just gonna say Black Americans because that's what they call us here, Black Americans. I know we Israel saints, I know, but I can only use that word because that's the word that's being utilized. It's like they hate us the most. And I don't understand that because I would assume that we are some of the most welcoming people. We welcome everybody here. We want to be a part of the family. I've heard conversations where people say, well, I was African and I went to school and they call me names like, y'all remember the checks that we used to check each other on? They call people, African. I'm not going to finish it. But the crazy thing is, even the Africans that were here and complained that we used to check or play the dozens and call them out of their names and they felt uncomfortable, we played the dozens amongst each other. Like nobody was safe in high school. Y'all remember that? When you was in high school, nobody was safe. When you played the dozens, you played the dozens. And Memphis's dozens is at a whole nother level. But it's like a concerted, no, Rio. It's like a concerted effort to make it seem as if we don't have culture. So I forgot this guy, his name Kai. This Kai Casanetta, that's his name, I think. Is a big YouTuber, a big TikToker, and I think a YouTuber and whatever, media outlets. He has a big following. And with that, he went off and said Black people don't have culture. So I kind of want to talk about that because I get frustrated when people talk about what is Black. Black doesn't have a culture. Black Americans don't have a culture. How can you say that when everything that America bites off is American Black culture? From the clothes, from the lingo, to the music, to the movies. You know, and we don't take anything away from anyone over on the other side of the pond. We don't take anything away. I love the little dances that they do, this new dance that they do, that I've seen. And I'm trying to make myself learn how to do it. I think it comes from South Africa. That everybody's doing like a competition on TikTok on who can do it the best. And they can actually do it together because that's their dance. I don't knock them. So it's obvious that it's some unwarranted beef that I just want us to dig into. Find out, why is there beef? Why is it everybody seems to want to team up on the black kid in the room from the U.S.? All of us came off the same boat. We just got dropped off in different spots. When you look at our DNA, the majority of us came from the same tribe. All of us came, majority of us are Igbo. Let's let that be known. Or some of us are Ashanti. Or some of us are Yoruba. But when you really look at the holistic side of the tribe, all of us are still the same people. But yet and still, these diaspora wars, we got to talk about that. We definitely got to dig into it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is this Iran and Israel conflict. If y'all tired of me talking about that, hit 1. If y'all not tired of me talking about it, hit 2. I want to make sure I'm not talking a lot about the same subject. I try to switch it up. Hit 1 if y'all good with me talking about the Israel-Iran conflict. 2 if y'all tired of me talking about it. I'll wait. I need that poll. I got a 2. I got a 1. Okay, we'll talk about a little bit of that. So let's talk through. I'm gonna play a video and I hope it's not a lot of cussing. I hope it's not. Cenat. Let me go to it and I'm gonna play the video. Cenat, I think his name. That's his name. I'm trying to find a shorter version of the video. Now, keep in mind, Kai is probably about 5 foot. Me and him are probably the same height. So I'm like, sir, stop that. Hold on. Trying to find the video. Hold on, y'all. So, hold on. Hold on, y'all. Here I go. I just want the short to it. I don't want the whole thing. Let's see. Let's get it cracking. Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can play this. No, I'm not gonna play that one. Hold on. I'm gonna just play this, and hopefully it's not a lot of cussing on here. It's some cussing. So are y'all fine with the cussing? Hit 1. Yeah, Kai Cenat. I think I'm saying his name. 1 if y'all are right with the cussing, because there's some cussing in there. 2 if y'all don't want to hear the cussing. It is some cussing because you got to realize this is a younger generation. Wait a minute. Hold on. 1 if you don't want to hear it. 2 if you want to hear the video. 1 if you don't want to hear the video. 2 if you want to hear the video. Wait a minute. Did I say it right? Hold on. Wait a minute. Time out, Saints. Hit yes, I want to hear the video, or no, I don't want to hear the video. I didn't confuse myself. Yes, I want to hear the video, or no, I don't want to hear the video. Saints, I have confused myself. Yes or no? I'm re-asking the question. Yes, you want to hear the video. I got a little confused with my question. So quite a few people want to hear the video. For my people that do not want to hear the video, mute me out for I say a minute. When I play the video, I'm going to say mute, and that means hurry up and mute. Hold on. Let's see. All right, I'm finna play the video. Now it's like I said, it's a little vivid. So some of y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all mute. That means mute out. And then mute out for like 1 minute. 1 minute. Let's see. And I'm only gonna play a little bit of it because I don't want to get dinged. So, and it's not that long of a video. All right, so here we go. Mute 1 minute. Just 1 minute mute out, and then we'll come back. Here we go.
All my mods who are not cultured at all, stop dick riding. I don't want to hear, like, when I'm asking general questions, I'm not asking y'all niggas. Stop dick riding. Y'all niggas is black. You're black. You're just black.
Just be yourself and hit them with hey. Also, I just found the Anarchy hoodie yesterday. Can't wait. Finna resubscribe. And a little W female viewer. Big 2 months December 9th.
Thank you so much. Bro, you're just fully American. You're African American, bro. That's it. How was that see you in 30? That wasn't an insult. That was strictly you're black. You're not Trinidadian. You're not Jamaican. You're not African. You're not word. You're not Ghanaian. You're not Dominican. You're not Puerto Rican. You're not Cuban. You are American.
I farted so loud.
Cenat, I think you done been a little bit more.
Okay, I stopped right there. Now, I don't agree with the Dispora Wars. I don't because we already have enough division just within our own community here. So I'm gonna do a quick hold on, and then we can get into the other war. Okay, I'm gonna play this video. So for those, let me fill y'all in. For those who don't understand what I mean when I say Dispora Wars, let me just break it down to you. A segment of Black communities within each nation. Keep in mind, we have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. We are the same people, but we've been scattered. And what happened was all of us took our cultures and took it to our different nations, the different nations that we were scattered to. You got those that were scattered into the Caribbean and the Jamaican areas. You got those who are in the UK. You got those that are in the US. You got everybody just scattered. And what transpired with the scattering is we took culture with us. Well, because everybody seems to think that it's like a competition of who has more African culture than anybody. I mean, who has the most African culture? When African culture is our culture. All of us have the same culture. All of us have the same things when it comes to eating. Yams. Let's talk about yams. Yams is food. Food is a part of culture. Yams came from Africa. All of us took that food and made it into our own. Cabbage, we took our food, made it into our own. Greens, we made it our own. I mean, even when I eat oxtails that Jamaicans make, I see in the South, it has a similarity to roast in some cases. All of us, when we took things from a food perspective, it still had some resemblance from where we were before we were brought over here. Dancing, all of us took that with us and made it our own. You have in America, you got blues, you have jazz, you have gospel, you have all these things. way even before hip hop became main, before we even go into hip hop, because people love to say, well, Black Americans created hip hop. That's fine. But I'm not saying what we created, because again, I feel like all of us created our form of music. Not knocking it. But I'm speaking from an American standpoint. We had the music we brought, we created, we cultivated, we created and cultivated jazz. Jazz is nothing but what we took from when we came from the other side of the pond and brought it over, made a few changes to it, and then it was our music and we cultivated it and it was ours. It was here. But we have no problems with sharing whatever we brought. I'm not knocking my Caribbean brothers and my Jamaican brothers, not my all my brothers that are and sisters that are scattered across the four corners. I'm not knocking it. I'm saying stop attacking us as Americans, far as us being over here in this land, because we took what we had and made it into something, because that's we had to while we were here. Just like you all made your culture. Y'all created culture based off of where you were and just made it to fit where you were. We all did the same thing. And creating these wars ultimately leaves us to say, I'm beefing with a Trinidadian and I don't know why. I'm beefing with a Jamaican. I don't know why. I'm beefing with a Black American. I don't know why. I'm beefing with a Cuban, Black Cuban. I don't know why. Because we got to understand the colonizer created that division. And we can't allow ourselves to get into the mindset of saying, okay, I'm a beef with my brothers over over across the pond in Africa. Now, keep in mind, there are some things within each culture that I say we could probably do better. In Jamaica, in Trinidad, in Africa, even in America, there were things that we could do better as a community. But we got to understand that everybody has culture. We have culture, but they seem to think that we don't have culture, because I don't know if it's because they think that it's more European than it is more related to the continent, when actually the continent, we brought it over here to America and they took it and said, oh, we're going to take it and make something out of it. People call soul food slave food. Understood. But we have a way of cooking it where it's not as, bad for you. Jamaicans have food that's not healthy. Oxtails are greasy and delicious. I love my Jamaican brothers and sisters with the oxtails. Y'all are great with the proteins. But what's funny is I have a friend that's here. He's from Trinidad. I think he's Trinidadian. And I think he's from Trinidad. Yeah, he's from Trinidad. And me and him were joking and laughing. And he lives here. All of us, live here. We all kind of cool. And I'm like one of the few I'm the Black American in the group. So they were talking about all the foods that they have. And oxtail is one. And he said, we good with the protein. Now, this came out of his mouth. He said, but y'all got us beat with the vegetables. I laughed so hard. And I sat there and I sat with a smile on my face. He said, why are you laughing? I said, y'all are tight with the proteins. Y'all can, that stewed chicken is off the chain. That stewed chicken, oh my God, it's delicious. Oxtails, delicious. Jerk chicken, delicious. Just need a little bit more salt sometimes. I run across some jerk chicken that need a little bit of salt, but that's fine. I add a little hot sauce to it. I'm a little country. And with my African continent, man, I have this. I can't remember the name of it. It's the spinach that they make. Oh my gosh, the spinach is delicious. I love goat. I've never been a fan of goat, but it's an African spot that I used to go to when I lived in Virginia that had the best goat. Man, it was delicious. But when I eat y'all's cabbage and y'all's greens, I just be like, oh my God, why is it crunchy? It's too crunchy. But I don't knock how y'all cook it. Can I make y'all mad? How many people in my chat are Jamaican? Oh, I'm finna make the Jamaicans mad. Oh, I'm finna make the Jamaicans mad. Or it's Caribbean. Hit one if you are. Please, y'all, know that I love y'all. I do love y'all. Who? I'm finna make some of y'all mad. Even Haitian food. The way Haitians cook fried chicken, y'all, I ain't never seen nobody say boiled chicken with the seasoning on it and then fry it. That's a new way for me. I'm just like, man, that's fine. I think that's Haitian. Tell me if that's Haitian. Okay. Y'all gonna love me when I say this. Thank you. Y'all rice and peas. If I had my choice of rice and peas and red beans and rice in New Orleans, I'm sorry, I would pick the red beans and rice. But I like the food, but y'all fire with the proteins. I ain't taking nothing from y'all. But if I had my choice between rice and peas or red beans and rice, I'm gonna choose red beans and rice because I'm from the South. But I don't knock what we do. We take everything in stride. We don't come for each other. We don't argue with each other. But now it seems to be a trend. Man, my greens can't be crunchy, y'all. I'd be so upset in New York. I make my own pot of greens. I'm sorry, y'all. I have yet to find a spot in New York where I can just say, yes, this right here. Let me stop right here for a brief second as I drink my little juice. Fire. Now the fufu, I can't quite do it. I've been and choked the crap out of myself every single time I eat fufu. I'm like, y'all don't chew, y'all just swallow. And this is for my African brothers and sisters. Y'all take that fufu and roll it up in a ball and grab y'all whatever protein and veggie and y'all take it. Y'all don't chew, y'all swallow. And I will choke the crap out of myself. And I just be like, no. But that's y'all thing. I ain't knocking the fufu. I'm not knocking the fufu. But you know what's so interesting is, and then I go into the video where it talks about the Dispora Wars. Let me show you how each cultures have similarities. Y'all take the fufu, dip it in your, how do you pronounce it? Hold on. Let me look at it again. Hold on. Egusi soup is spinach and y'all dip it and y'all eat it with y'all hands. Y'all eat it with y'all hands. That's no different in Mississippi when they take that cornbread. I'm going to bless y'all soul with this one. Whew. Take that cornbread, put it in that hand, and pick up them greens with their hands with the cornbread and put it in their mouth. That'll bless you. That'll bless you every single time. But you see certain things that are similar. We're not knocking you. It's just preference. I mean, I can eat fufu. I can eat it. I'm a choke, but I can try to eat it. But it ain't nothing like some good collards. I use turkey tails in mine since I done gave up the pork. Take some turkey tails because turkey has that gelatinous I need in my greens. I need that gelatinous fatty. And that turkey tail has it every single time. And I take that turkey tail, put it in there, them collard greens, cook it until the green is translucent. That's when I say, yep, it's ready to eat. Now, my wonderful Jamaican brothers and sisters, when I look at it and I see that it's still green, like it's out of the field, then I'm like, oh, y'all didn't cook them greens long enough, saints. I ain't saying all of them, but there were times I said, I can't eat these crunchy. Oh, Lord, this cabbage is crunchy. Cabbage for us, and I know people like cabbage that cannot be cooked like that because you boil all the nutrients out. I'm so sorry, saints. The nutrients are in the pot liquor. That's where you get the good nutrients from. That pot liquor people don't realize pot liquor actually has nutrients in it. But we don't do anything any different. This is black culture. Well, we have greens because I'm looking from a foodie standpoint because I'm a foodie. You know, y'all do y'all thing. Jamaicans do their things. African do that. But when you look at it, it's no different. Black culture. I'm going to take them greens and I'm going to eat the greens. But there's something in that green after you eat it that's anointing and filled with the Holy Ghost. It's called pot liquor. Take that cornbread, that good old blessed cornbread, and dip it in that juice and let it sit there for a second. It'll bless you every single time. But hey, that's our culture. We gonna do that. You don't pour it. Black culture. Let me let all my friends who don't understand us. Black culture is when you get done with your greens, you don't pour the juice out. You don't pour that pot liquor out. You take that good old, like I said, cornbread, crumble it, or hot water cornbread. Baby, it'll bless you. You know what? Y'all know I'm being silly right now, but I'm so serious. Let the church say amen. Crumble that cornbread in that pot liquor. Just let it sit and simmer and let it get filled. I can speak in tongues on that. I'm just joking. And let it sit for a minute, and then just take your hand and just start eating it. Some take a spoon. Or better yet, sometimes you just take your cornbread, just dip it in there and just bring it back. Saturate it. Baptize the cornbread. If you don't baptize the cornbread, what purpose do you serve? See? Okay, I gotta try somebody else's because I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna, I said maybe because I live in the middle. I want to be around my people. I gotta be around my people. Because if anybody knows New York is so gentrified right now. It's ridiculous. We'll talk about gentrification on another day. They can actually have this because y'all is coming to get us. But I'm looking for my people. So living in Brooklyn, you have a segment in Brooklyn from Bed-Stuy that I'm learning. Now understand, I'm still new here, but I'm just telling you what I see. Because I don't want nobody to be like, you missed a whole nother segment of Brooklyn. Fine. Now, I'll go into this one. So you got Bed-Stuy. You have an area in Crown Heights. You have Flatbush. All of that I see as being Caribbean. You got sprinkles some black people here and there. And then you have a whole nother segment in if you want to be around more black people, but in Manhattan, you have to go to Harlem. And when I want to be around my folks, Harlem. Since I've been here, I've been on a hunt for good greens. Because I'm a country girl. I'm a country girl to my heart. And I gave up. I said, I'm cooking my own greens. I'm cooking my own greens. And because I can't find them. Because everybody seems to think they ain't supposed to cook it until it's rubbery. You got to cook it until it just falls. We have a way of cooking our greens. But it's just, you see different cultures. And what happens is everybody assumes that black people don't have culture. Because it's heavily saturated with Caribbean culture here. And I see that more in New York than I see anywhere else. Because if you go into the South, you see more Black Americans. I'm noticing that. It's a lot of Black Americans in the South than it is out here. Because I actually met a man that was an American Black. And he said, yeah, it's not a lot of us anymore out here because a lot of us moved to the South because it was cheaper. So you'll see a lot more of us there. But what I'm saying, and tell me if I'm making sense, Saints. Black Americans have culture. That's all I'm trying to say. That's the best way I can put it. You got the Geechee Gullah people. You have the Creole, the people that are in New Orleans. Even got Memphis, because Memphis is blues. You got the people in Mississippi. You got the people in Alabama. Black people have culture. I think in Texas, what's the people that are cowboys in Texas and they do the whole, my daughter loves them. I forgot what she called them, but she loves watching them and they do the dancing with the cowboy hats and all that. That's Black culture. And see, the thing is, our Black culture is not the same. It changes as you go into different segments of the U.S. Because if you go into Virginia and Washington, D.C., you got the, what's the music in D.C.? Go-go. You got go-go music in D.C. Black culture. That's Black culture. You go into Memphis, you got Memphis deep blues. That's what I came up with. You got the music in New Orleans, jazz, Zydeco, all in New Orleans. Then you go into Texas, and you got a whole bunch of Black, and I don't quite know what the culture is in Texas, but my daughter, hold on, I gotta look it up because I don't want to take away from Texas. Hold on. My daughter knows what it's called, and I wish I know a couple of people here that are from Texas, and they can tell me what it is. But they have their own, music. You got Motown, Detroit. You got Chicago. They got their own culture. So you got different types of cultures. Far as Black communities, the same, but it starts making changes here and there as you go further into the U.S. because keep in mind, each tribe brought their own, but had to make modifications based off of the environment, the demographic, what type of food and resources they had available to make their food. You have the Baltimore house music. Oh my God, house music. That's Black culture. You got, the reason I'm not talking about hip hop, because hip hop is what everybody knows. Everybody like Black people in hip hop. No, it's more to Black culture than hip hop. It's a part of Black culture, but we have so many other things. Gospel music, heavy in Memphis, Tennessee. What's crazy is they say Black people don't have culture, but one of the biggest Black denominations came out of Memphis, Tennessee, worldwide, from the US to the Caribbean over into the UK. They are practicing it. I know we say that, I know some of us don't have a problem with it. Some of us got a problem with, some things coming from the church, but we created that. Church and God in Christ, Kojic is Black. It was started by a Black man, and one of the biggest denominations, I would say, worldwide. Black culture. People forget about that. And what hurts my heart so much is we embrace everybody else's. I embrace the Jamaican culture. I love going to what's the event in Crown Heights on Labor Day. I slipped my mind. For my friends that's from New York, what is the big event in September? Oh, what is it? What is it? What is it for the Caribbeans? It's Carnival, but they call it something else, and I can't remember. What? Yes, the West Indian Parade. But what do they call it though? They don't call it the West Indian Parade. They call it something else. My brain just did something right there. Come on, somebody tell me what they call it, because it has a specific name. Yes, Juve. We love Juve. We gonna be out there with y'all wearing our American flag. No, I'm just talking about, everybody got their own flags. Do y'all know that there's a Black American flag? Do y'all know that? And again, where we are, family. We ain't getting our own until the Messiah gets us. Right now, everybody is just doing their own thing. But the Trinidadians can have it. Now, I really believe if Black Americans came with their flags, they'll be like, leave right now expeditiously. They don't like us sometimes. I'm just joking. But yeah, I'm thinking about Juve. I love Juve. But the thing is, when I see people do what they're doing, it hurts my heart. So I'm gonna play this video. Hold on, because I know y'all tired of hearing my mouth run. Y'all know I love to talk though. We ain't gonna even talk about music. Let me stop right there with music. I was looking at something, and how sometimes you have a playlist, and I was getting ready for today. And as I'm typing, what's the song by? Hold on, y'all know I'm having brain problems right now. Because I'm talking so fast, I'm trying to remember what is the Luther Vandross song I just got through listening to. Never Too Much. As I'm listening to it, actually, that's what changed my mind on the title. That I thought about it, I said, our music from Luther Vandross, and I know with Hebrew community, like, oh, they're part of Illuminati. That's fine, but yes, we still created the music and the sound. Yeah, Luther Vandross, Never Too Much. Then I was listening to Whitney Houston earlier today. Beautiful voice, Black American. Listening to Nina. My daughter loves Nina Simone. My daughter is a Nina Simone fanatic. Black American. All these different types of music that we created, it's like everybody is just ignoring it. Everybody's ignoring it. I was listening Never Too Much. And when I tell you, y'all can't tell me, I don't care what y'all say. I know we love to sing all types of Hebrew songs. But when y'all hear Never Too Much by Luther Vandross, y'all can't tell me y'all don't bob y'all head. and y'all don't turn y'all radio up. Please tell me y'all don't do. One, you turn your radio up. Two, you turn your radio down because you don't want to hear it. I turn mine up and will sing at the top of my lungs in the car and be clapping my hands and just, y'all can't tell me. Y'all can't tell me y'all don't listen to Maze. Y'all can't tell me y'all don't listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Y'all can't tell me y'all don't listen to none of these that type of music. Maze? Oh, baby. Maze, come on. Maze, come on. I'm finna turn the radio up so high and I'm finna sing until I can't. Confunction. Confunction, I'm gonna sing to the top of my lungs. I'm gonna sing. Come on now, y'all. But this is Black culture. Frankie Beverly can sing. I think they're doing their last concert. Y'all come on now. I ain't trying to be holier than thou. I'm just gonna give it to you for real. I listen to all types of music. And y'all can't tell me y'all don't pat y'all feet and bow and tap the table when y'all hear Frankie Beverly. Y'all can't tell me y'all don't do that. That's culture. That's Black American culture. We created music from our music. Like somebody just said this. Music is in our blood. And we took a slice of it and said, while we're here, this is what we're going to create and make. This our little music. While we're here, we're going to create. We this is what we got. And we took what we had and cultivated it. Y'all can tell me. I know people say, well, she's hustling. They love to talk about Whitney Houston. Before we came into the truth, Whitney Houston's voice, and still is, one of the most phenomenal voices in the music industry, even to this day, and she's dead and gone. Oh my gosh. Her voice, when she first came out, her voice was I'm talking about, oh my goodness. You got Stevie Wonder. And it's not just on the internet. It's not just on the internet because you feel it. Me living in New York, I feel it sometimes when I come across some Jamaicans, some Caribbean people, when they hear me talk. Because you hear me talk, to all my Caribbean friends and my country, yes or no? I'm not going to take it personal. One, yes. Well, one, I'm country. Two, I'm not country. You can tell that I'm a Black American because I'm country as I'm talking about as can be because I'm from the South. But when they hear it, sometimes, not all of them, some of them I've come across where it's literally they're turning their nose up to me. I had someone to tell me, and I had to catch myself. This guy, he's actually from, where is he from? He's African. And I forgot where he said he was from. I can't remember. And he said, the people that got caught in the slave trade here, they got caught because they didn't fight. We fought. You didn't think we fought? We fought, and this is where we ended up. All of us are in some form of captivity. Even in Africa, you're in some form of captivity because the colonizer is there. Somebody said, what state do you live in? I live in New York, but I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm country as can be. I'm just as country as can be. So I'm in New York. So, let me see. Somebody said, I'm a Brooklyn girl for life. Yes, I'm a Brooklyn girl with a Southern accent. That was so funny. I'm from Brooklyn, but when you hear me, you be like, where are you from? I love Brooklyn. Brooklyn is home for me right now. And I don't see myself leaving. In fact, I am leaving for a little bit, but I want to do a road trip. That's why I'm leaving. It's not because I'm trying to leave Brooklyn, but I want to do a road trip, me and my daughter. So that's another conversation within itself. But I don't. I'm just taking a break and I'm coming back because yeah, cost of living is horrific here. I'm like, but let me play the video about the diaspora wars, diaspora wars. See, country. Hold on. Are y'all enjoying this conversation right now? Oh, you live in New Jersey, but you're from Memphis, so you country too. So you with me on this. Okay, so I'm gonna play this.
The backs of coming and benefiting in black, Asian, Mexican, who it don't matter, black, Asian, Mexican, whoever you are. If you come here as an immigrant, you're literally coming and benefiting and prospering on the backs of what black people, what black Americans did in this country. Like the any benefits that we have that anybody else can get is because black Americans put their foot out and they drew a line in the sand.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I think that, okay, yeah, there's some trauma there, but chill out. If you're so mad about it, go. Just leave.
Damn.
You know what I'm just saying, but like if you're that mad about it, leave.
But isn't that what they say about us and racism?
As much as I don't like what she said, I don't like what she said because I wouldn't dare tell people to leave. I think with the people that are pushing these conflicts amongst the communities, treating Black Americans as if we are lazy, because I've heard that we're lazy, we get things handed to us, we don't want anything, and this, and really you don't understand the culture. And I feel what she's saying. The biggest thing is respect the culture and understand the struggle. Maybe that's the best way to put it. If you understand the struggle, then you understand the culture, because the culture in the US derived from the blood, sweat, and tears, which were a part of the struggle. So when people do that, and this I'm speaking to my Caribbean brothers and sisters, my African brothers and sisters, and even my brothers and sisters that are from UK, when y'all say this to us, it's a slap in our faces, because even though we look at the civil rights movement like it was somewhat of it really didn't do what it was supposed to do, but it still accomplished something, and it afforded everybody an opportunity that some of us still haven't 100% gotten. Just being honest. Um, um, my family, civil rights movement. Rio's cutting up. Civil rights movement. Strange fruit. They was hanging our ancestors. And again, I'm not taking away from y'all struggle, but I'm only speaking because I'm speaking from I'm over here. This is where I am right now. This is where my history is. Far as, my people that came over here. I'm what you would consider to be what they call ADOS. I don't like doing that because it creates divide, but that's what they call us. American descendants of slaves. We saw the struggle and we had to come out of it and create something of our own, but in the same time, in the same breath, saying, hey, I got to fight for equality so that I can be able, which still didn't 100% work, but it did what it did. Be able to go to college, be able to go to any college. You can be able to, I look at the good side of this is to be able to have the ability to drive through Mississippi. Well, there are some still towns you don't fool with, but yet and still drive through Mississippi and be able to get through Mississippi without just being stopped just because. Even they do still do that, but they don't do it to the magnitude of what they did pre the civil rights movement. Black people literally could not travel at night because of fear. So we have to be able to do that, to be able to move into any neighborhood you want to move into, to be able to have access to whatever, doing certain things is because of what our ancestors did. And when she said that, I thought about it. I said, wait, hold on. I don't want to tell people to go back. That's not the best approach. Let me teach you of who I am and my culture. Because I want you to respect my culture because I'm going to respect your culture. So I think we have to take an approach where, hey, when they do stuff like that, hey, hold on. Respect what my ancestors went through. And let me teach you what we went through. Because in some cases, it's an opportunity for learning. I hope that makes sense. Our people still getting hung. I ain't taking away from that. Our people are still being hung by trees, but it's not to the magnitude of what it was pre civil rights. But they still getting hung.
Yeah. But see, this is the difference. We didn't come here. We were brought here. There's a difference when you make a concerted decision to leave your house, wherever it may be, and then come here. That's the difference. So anybody trying to make a comparison, I'm going to call you stupid for one, because they're not the same. We have to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. It's just not the same. So I feel like I understand the trauma. Cool, you don't like Black Americans, but don't shit on us and then go and get a scholarship, for.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking a question and I didn't realize I hadn't muted. So I'm looking at this. He says, I am born and raised second generation New Yorker, but I truly hate when you or any of our people say they are country. What does that mean? We would not be here if it wasn't for. I'm confused. So are you saying because I call myself country? I'll come back to that question. So I'm gonna finish playing.
Or don't take advantage of affirmative action, or don't take advantage
when it existed.
Like it's just that, right?
The comment that I read that was aggressive. You didn't take a liking to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard Black Americans speak about West Indians in the same manner?
Listen, I know there's all types of dialogue that exists that's divisive. There's all types of opinions that you could grab from that's divisive, and it's not going to help anything. So I don't focus on that shit. I focus on intelligent discussions. I focus on solutions and coming together. And at the end of the day, yeah, I could point a few people out that say certain things, but I'm talking about, like, what's the real intelligent discussion about coming together and understanding what we have in common? We could talk for days and years about what our differences are. And there's so many differences. There's differences between this block and the next block. But we got more in common than there's different. So if there's a race war, if there's something serious going on, you put your differences to the side, especially when the entire world looks at you as Black. I remember after the George Floyd situation, when there was that couple of months of Black pride going on, I remember walking down the block and you see a Black person, you like, yo, what's up, man? Like, you speaking, everybody, you greet. I don't care if you Haitian, if you Trinidadian or African, it's like we Black people. And that's the way the world views us. And if we don't view ourselves like that, we're just divided for no reason. Divide and conquer is like the number one law in how to oppress people. You know what I mean? And we've fallen for the shit. And then when we're feeding into it with divisive conversation, I don't feed into that conversation. I don't play into it. I don't want to repeat it. There's so much other positives to focus on.
I have a question.
Yes.
In a perfect world.
Yes.
Fine.
I'm only pausing because one, I want to kind of speak on it. Next, I'm trying to keep from being flagged because they keep flagging me on YouTube. So, a friend of mine told me the trick to it is provide commentary. So throughout these videos, I'm gonna stop for a minute because what I would say at the end, I'm just gonna provide in the middle, and then what I do is go up a couple of minutes so we can go back to where the original conversation was. But he said something that he says, "Stop. We have similarities. Stop. We cannot create divisiveness and division because you're from Ghana or you're from Nigeria and you're from Sierra Leone, you're from South Africa, you're from here, but you are just from America and you have no connection to the land." And I've heard that. I am the connection to the land. Who I look like is the connection to the land. We are just not, our culture is so diverse. I think about Joseph and the coat with the many colors. I look at the many colors not because people love to say, "Oh, it's the different races." I look the symbolism behind the coat of many colors with Joseph is the coat of many cultures that will come out of the nation of Israel. That's what I see. We are diverse in every form. They love to add the little spin to it and colonize Joseph and his coat. I don't see that as being, oh, we're right, we're red, we're purple, we're green. Coat of many colors to me means coat of many cultures, many diversities. We are not a monolithic community. We have multiple things and that's what makes us beautiful. As we are salt, or the salt of the earth. That's what makes us different and makes us similar too, in so many words. And that's what makes our community so beautiful. I might have someone who's Geechee. Great example, Angie is Geechee Gullah. She's Geechee. She'll say some Geechee stuff to me. I don't understand nothing she's saying. But that's fine. She'll explain it to me and I embrace the culture. Our brothers, Teo brothers, New Orleans, different set of cultures. Different. You got our brother Dante from Nevada. Different. You got me from the trenches of the deep south. Different. Pastor Kelly. Just everybody is of different cultures. And if I look at food too as a symbolism of different cultures. If all of us brought a dish to dinner or a potluck that symbolized our culture, it would be a lot of similarities, but it would be a lot of diversity there. You'd have Eric bringing rice and beans. You have Angie bring, I don't know any Geechee Gullah food, but Angie can tell me. Fish and grits. They love fish and grits. Every time I talk to them, fish and grits. You got me that'll probably bring some barbecue, or you got this person. It's just different, diverse. We're diverse. So I just want to add that commentary, but I'll go back. I'm gonna go back a little bit so we can stay on point. Y'all hit a 1 if y'all are enjoying this conversation. Hit 1 if you're enjoying it, 2 if you're not enjoying it and you're over it. Okay. I'm gonna finish playing this.
Divide and conquer is like the number one law in how to oppress people. You know what I mean? And we've fallen for the shit. And when we're feeding into it with divisive conversation, I don't feed into that conversation. I don't play into it. I don't want to repeat it. There's so much other positives to focus on.
I have a question.
Yes.
In a perfect world.
Yes.
Fine. But if you're dealing with trauma, so we're talking about real trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
From a group of people that have said and done things to make you feel lesser than, to make you feel not included, to make you feel less American, to make you feel less accepted in your adoptive home. Why would we automatically assume that they should put that trauma aside that they've dealt with just to fight for us not knowing that if it was reciprocal, it would come back, because it's not as pro-Black. So I've said before on this show, I'm a Black American technically with Caribbean roots and an African name. So being a person that was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, I got all of the shit. I got all the Caribbean trauma from my father coming up to school, saying certain things. I got all the Black girl trauma from other Black people when we have that divisiveness and we talk about colorism and stuff like that. And then I have an African name. So I have that trauma from a name that's attached to a culture that I'm not attached to. So I had no pride in my name, but I got all the African booty scratches and all the tar babies and all you African bitch and da. So this is trauma that I dealt with as a.
I think, and I don't knock the and excuse the cuss words for those, close your ears. I used to tell Madison when she was younger, when I would say swear words, earmuffs, and she knew what that meant. I'd be like, put your earmuffs, and she would take her hands and cover her ears. So those who don't like the cuss words, earmuffs. The same, and I wanted to. She said exactly the check, the check. We call it check in Memphis, where you checking somebody, meaning you're playing the dozens or you're calling them names. The African booty scratcher thing has really, you can tell that it traumatized a lot of the Africans that came over and they was in high school. But and I'm not justifying it was wrong, but my thing is this: we play the dozens with everybody. I'm talking about dozens. You got a whole show with Black Americans just doing the dozens. Not to say it's right, and I'm not justifying the behavior, but it's not like we said we're gonna just call you that. We're not gonna talk about everybody else. We play the dozens amongst each other. When we got done checking you, we went and checked each other. How many times have y'all heard the yo mama jokes? Yo mama jokes. Now again, I'm not justifying it, but what I'm saying is her feelings are justified. Let me clearly say that, because I've heard numerous Africans say that check alone, African booty scratcher check, did something to them and they didn't like it and it made them feel some kind of way. And I respect that. But I want to ask her the same question. Did we just check you, or did we check everybody in the room? Did we check everybody in the room? Come on, I mean, again, I'm not justifying it, but I'm just letting her know that in some cases, we did it to all of us. We called it checking. That's what we used to do it in Memphis. Who in here from Memphis? Timothy, no, he from Memphis. Man, you checked him, man. Checking was the thing. You would be in the locker room in Memphis checking. And it's just, I mean, that's just how we did. We joked. Now, obviously, again, that one, I hear that a lot. That one has did something to them, because every time I hear an African on a panel, the first thing they say, y'all call us African booty scratchers. We call each other names, and again, it's not respectful. Let me just clear that up. It wasn't respectful. If they didn't like it, let's not do it. But it's not this is what I'm gonna say it on the flip side. We checked each other. Let me see if somebody just said something, but I'm not agreeing. If this hurts them as a community, we got to stop doing it. We just continually check each other. I check Dante. I be checking Teo. We all be checking each other. I ain't gonna say check, but we be joking with one another, joning. That's just how it is. But it's obviously it did something to us doing that to them, and we got to understand that they came to some of them came over here. It was a new environment, and there was some possibly, and I'm not taking anything from it, they probably went a little bit too far with it. Our community, we keep checking you. We'll keep checking. We just don't know when to stop. So, but y'all get what I'm saying, because I don't want to take away from her feelings. So let's keep it going.
Name, but I got all the African booty scratchers and all the tar babies and all you African bitch and da 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 da. So this is trauma that I dealt with as a Black American in America. If I wasn't a Black American and some shit popped off, I tell you right now, I'm not riding for none of them niggas that came at me crazy. Because when it was time for me to be included in this space, I was ousted from so many different angles and so many different things. We're expecting people to negate trauma for Blackness, but when the Blackness, I ain't never been called an African booty scratcher by a white person or even a Hispanic.
They called you the hard ER.
I am here to tell you today that your feelings are valid.
She said something that made so much sense. They cut it from there. She said they may not have called you the African booty scratcher, but they called you the other word. They're not gonna call you African booty scratcher. Africans not, white people not gonna call you that. Hispanics not gonna call you that because they see us all as the same. If they gonna call us something, they gonna call us. Y'all know what that word is. It's the hard NERNIGG. All of us, they don't see the difference. All of us are the same derogatory word. That's why they didn't call you that. And you're right, playing the dozens. That's why I say I don't take anything away from her hurt and her pain. I don't take anything away from her hurt and her pain. Because it is a difference from playing the dozens and being bullied. But on the same token, I won't take away from it. I won't. We were harsh, but we were harsh with each other. We had African friends. I went to school. We had African friends. I was from the South. We didn't have a lot of and that's another thing about coming into the South. The South is just different. The South is different. But yet and still, but that's where the trauma comes from. Us checking in the dozens that I'm noticing that's pushing this diaspora war. Where when we were kids, you called us African booty scratchers. When you was a kid, you said your mama jokes. And was it good? No. Because I was bullied as a kid. And I don't want to take anything away from anybody if they're traumatized through bullying. My point I'm trying to convey is we all checked each other. It's not a good thing. What somebody say, the African, and what kills me, she said white people didn't, they called you even worse sometimes. African booty, they would call you even worse. And some of those checks came from their communities and we took it and ran with it, which is not good. But this is what we're dealing right now with, Dispora Wars. Says, I'm finna get my lick back. So since you called me that as a kid, I'm just gonna say you don't have any culture. And it's like, really, we gonna do this? If that's the case, I'm gonna go back and reach back to everybody that I played the dozens with. And I'm going to, so it's just like, I don't know, y'all. This whole Dispora War is interesting, and I only see it with the Generation Z. I really don't see it in our generation. So, well, I do see it because I see it when, like I said, when I'm in New York and they hear my accent. Oh, you from the South? Yes. And then automatically is looked upon like, you get what I'm saying? It's like they get a vibe like, oh, I'm just an American. And it's just like, I'm just here. It doesn't, we did the best with what we had. They told us no to our colleges. We created our own colleges. They said no to our businesses. We created our own businesses, which they ended up attacking us, and we ended up losing some of the wealth that we had in our own neighborhoods. But I want to hear what everybody's thoughts are. Where's Gardis? Is Gardis out here? Gardis, if you're out here, if you have the time, hop on up here. And any of my Jamaican brothers and sisters, y'all are welcome. I should have changed the title and just said Dispora Wars, Diaspora Wars, because it looks like this is where we're going to be for a few minutes. Any of my Jamaican, my Caribbean, my African brothers and sisters, and my Black Americans, if y'all are respectful, come up here. If not, let me know. We can we can continue on with the conversation. So, but any thoughts in reference to this? Oh, hello, Gardis.
Sister E, what's going on?
What's going on? I'm talking about this Dispora War that I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing people that are across the pond in other nations saying Black Americans don't have culture. I don't know if you feel that much in Chicago.
Well, I mean, I was listening to what you were saying, and yeah, it's different. It's different ways of living when you talk about, like where you're from in Memphis, where you're at in New York, New Orleans, Baltimore, Chicago, and there's different type of things that we kind of do depending on how how we adjusted to the climate of wherever we're at. But no, I don't. I mean, for anybody who doesn't think that we don't have culture, because culture is basically marked out of an experience.
Yep.
And despite the fact that we've had the experience of slavery and Jim Crow, I mean, it's still a reaction to to that. It's it's still a culture. Much of our music was born out of our situations, dealing with racism and dealing with everything that this country has thrown at us. So it's nothing that we should ignore. I mean, there is a particular identity about us that that we have to claim. But at the same time, we don't forget, where we come from, at least genetically, and there is a commonality amongst Black people across the world that that we have. So, yeah, no, I don't really listen to people who don't think that we have a culture as a people, as Black people in this country.
Yes. Welcome, Naomi. Malachi. Am I saying that? How am I saying it wrong?
Brother
Mikael, I'm sorry. So, welcome,
yes,
welcome. So, do you have anything to add to the conversation? I guess Mikael had a problem. Naomi? Oh, everybody had a problem. They'll come back. But I mean, what I hate is the division. Even with, I look at the diversity you have, Gardis. I have the diversity. All of us have different backgrounds and different cultures that came through some of our struggle. And I hope this makes sense. I really, really hope this makes sense. And it's coming off right. But the assumption that there is no culture, it doesn't make sense. Hey, Mikael, you got something to add?
I mean, I understand the woman's trauma at the name call. When I was growing up, they called me Black Chocolate Chip Cookie or Tar Baby. But you know, it was Joning where we from. I'm from Mississippi. I'm from Tupelo, right an hour from you, Sister E. Well, you in New York now, but you from Memphis. You
Oh,
know how we get down in the South. It's when we get together, family gatherings or anything, it's gonna be some Joning going on.
correct, correct.
So they call us Katas. That mean cotton pickers.
Mm,
You don't have a culture. Right? So okay, now when we hit you back and call you a name, everybody wanna tuck their tail. Oh, y'all so mean, y'all so this. I don't understand that. I mean,
yeah, and
you
I
know,
get what you're saying because we did that out of fun. I mean, every culture has their own, even every race has their form of joning. People joan all the time. That's just how it is, and it's all in fun. But some people can't; they don't take it well, and they see. I mean, because the whole and it's that one check that seems to be going through the community that causes the biggest problem. When people called when the term African booty scratcher came out, people were I mean, and we didn't realize the trauma that it affected caused them until we got older, and then the next generation got older, and they was like, we didn't like to be called that. And I'm like, oh, you didn't? We were all joning. Now some of it was bullying, but bully was across all cultures. And I don't uphold bullies. You can be American, you can be African, you can be Caribbean. It's gonna always be somebody bullied in each community. And again, I'm not taking away from their trauma, but utilizing that trauma to be able to spin a narrative that, oh, since you called us that, I'm just gonna say y'all don't have culture. It doesn't make sense. Make it
if
make sense.
we don't have culture, then why everybody in the world copycats the Black American woman and the Black American man? Everybody, every culture bites off us. You never heard of an African comedian until you see us doing it. You never heard of an NBA or African NBA player playing professional until they saw us doing it, and they allowed them to come into the league. But see, all of this, we don't have a culture. Y'all hurt our feelings. You called us okay. When we hit you, when you hit us and we hit you back, now y'all want to sit up here and cry about it.
Mikael is really from Mississippi. I am so laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you, but you make me feel like I'm at home right now.
All praises, all praises.
All praises, and I see what you're saying, and you making great points, and I see
Yeah,
exactly what you're saying because the joning and the checking didn't go just with them. We didn't just point them out and say we're gonna check. We joned everybody in the room, and I mean, and that's just how it is. So you made great points. Naomi, you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just have something just really quick to say. I agree with everybody on the piano as far as the culture goes. We do have culture, and as our brother said, if we didn't have culture, then the world they wouldn't be mimicking us the way that they do. And secondly, I think that it's very healthy for us like to have these conversations because, like you said, like their feelings are valid. So if that did like because clearly it did traumatize them, it made them feel some type of a way. And that's fine. And it is valid. And I think that these conversations between us, them and us are healthy as long as the end goal is healing, right?
Correct.
Because it makes no sense for us to have a conversation amongst ourselves, meaning like our brothers and sisters from the continent and then us versus diaspora, if the goal is not going to be like to heal, right? Because what's the point of, oh, you hurt my feelings, oh, you hurt my feelings, oh, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I was going to say.
And you're right, and it's a point of healing with both sides. We got to say, okay, we heard you saying that. That's fine, and we apologize. And your feelings are valid because every single time I watch the whole the diaspora wars, that comes up constantly. Oh, when I was a little kid, you called us um African booty scratcher, and it's like, okay, when I was a kid, when I was bullied, I wasn't bullied by an African. I was bullied by an American. But when I got in corporate America, one of the first bullies I came across was an African who thought I didn't have the skill set needed because I was American and I didn't have enough education, and I wasn't, and it was obvious that there was a difference, but you fought against it because you felt like I was lazy, and it just, all cultures. And again, I'm not upholding bullying, and I want to make sure people realize this, but everybody felt it from the UK, from the US, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from Jamaica. All of us felt it. But when we start pointing out, saying, well, you don't have culture, you don't have culture, define culture. And I don't want to create division because I want us to unify, but it's good to have these healthy conversations of, why do you think we don't have culture?
You know what? I seen this poem one time, and it's kind of annoying because I can't remember the name of it. I think it was one of the influencers from Africa. She shared a poem that was written by like an African girl, and what she was basically saying, it was just like, sometimes some of them think it's almost like they had like a secret like envy. Like she said it in the poem, like, why didn't my ancestors get taken to America? Basically, right? Which in their eyes now, when they see us, they see, for a lot of reasons, I guess it's because how everything is portrayed to them over there. They see us as like, prosperous. They think like we're rich, how they say like we're spoiled. I've seen several times when they do like those people go around, they'll ask like, what do you think about Black Americans? And then they'll say, you know, how they feel. And I always hear they're spoiled. And I think that, like when she said in that poem, it was like, why didn't my ancestors get taken? Why were we left? And it's almost like a little bit of anger, right? I don't really know how to like describe it, because it's like, why would you want to have been taken? But then it's like almost, I can understand a little bit as to why you might feel that way, because you're on the outside looking in and it looks like maybe paradise over here to you, when on all actuality, you don't really have a full understanding of what was actually suffered over here until we actually got to the point where we are today, to be able to be semi-free and, you know, semi-prosperous or what have you. So I think that kind of plays a little bit into it too. And then I'll just stop right there.
And the
I
thing
was,
is,
I was just gonna piggyback off. I'm sorry, Sister. Go ahead. Go ahead. I mean, cut you off.
go on, Mikael. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was. That's what I'm saying. They look over here and don't understand. Like they see us prosperous or whatever. Like we living good. Man, they don't understand. When we look at y'all over there in the continent, we be like, y'all don't know how blessed you are.
Man, to have your
You
own.
to have your own. You don't know what it's like over here. Judah, which is us in America, we got our butt kicked the hardest. We the king tribe. We the fourth tribe under Christ. We got kicked the hardest. It was. I'm telling you, you just don't know how blessed you are, Africa,
Yep.
to
And
be right there, even in the Caribbean. Y'all are blessed.
man, and that's how we look at
Cause
it.
over here in America, go ahead, sis. Go ahead, sis.
I agree. Like y'all have an entire continent, and we just like, man.
Well,
And go ahead, Gardis.
we have to be very careful about on this side and on the other side about cultural supremacy.
Yes.
Which culture is the best. And obviously many diasporan Africans and even Caribbeans, anybody who I meet takes that attitude, are they're born into this basically American culture where individualism and supremacy is the thing here. Whereas, like, I've met Haitians who think that we don't have a culture here. But when I go to Haiti, them people like that ain't like that over there. They're very, very down to earth, very friendly. But it's always the Haitian, or not all Haitians, but some Haitians who live here, who think they're American, thinks that we Black Americans are lazy, and that runs across a lot of them, but mostly I find them here. And because they think they're American, they think they're on par with white people here, they get this arrogance. But obviously we have to understand that most of the people and most of the immigrants from these countries who are here are from the upper class from their countries. Because how do you think they got here? They don't provide free trips to America. They're from their upper class. And what do we see, as far as, just Black Americans here? Look at the upper class here. They turn their noses on, on poor Black Americans here. So, most of it is it can be crossed with the class issue. But also too, that cultural context could be added into it. But yeah, I think a lot of it is a class issue when you look at some of the immigrants who do look down upon us.
And a great thing you brought up was the classism that we see even in the Black community here. And I would love for us to have a real conversation, because I'm getting now that I just want to look at the psyche of our community, if it be over across the pond or within the US, because you have a classism that even a hierarchy within the Black community here in the US. And a lot of the Black community hierarchy is driven by skin complexion. Colorism is a cancer in the Black community here in the US. If I'm light skinned, I'm on the high end of the hierarchy. But if I'm a tar baby or dark skinned, I'm on the low end of the hierarchy. And that cripples us as a community, but because they don't understand that we battle with our own issues as a community. So I'm gonna let y'all continue on.
You're right, Sister E, because I remember back in the, let me see, 90s, early 90s, sisters only wanted to date light-skinned brothers. The dark-skinned brothers had a hard time, you know what I'm saying? We are growing through school or going to even the Black church. We saw that the lighter skinned people had more privileges in the church, more privileges on the job, more privileges in different organizations. I seen it as a child. I'm just 41. I ain't that old, but I see that. I experienced it. Like, man, it is what it is. But that's what being under these colonizers had done to us, putting the lighter above the darker. So I dropped the mic right there.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. It was it was this one guy. He was a rapper. He had made this comment. He said that now, mind you, he's dark skinned, right? So he says that he doesn't date dark skinned girls because they like rough and they thugs just like him. And light skinned girls, they are like more feminine and more soft and honestly get to myself like I'm dark skinned and I'm feminine and soft. Like, and I know some light skinned girls that like give you a run for your money. Like, so it's like when they see us, when they see like a darker skinned person, it's like, I don't know, it's like they see like this roughness, this hardness, this, they don't see like a softness, like, so I mean, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, I'm if you look at my picture, what am I? Dark skinned girl. And living in the South, being dark skinned, it came with, and now we're digging into the trauma. It came with a level of trauma that I had to overcome. I remember in college, I had a friend, she was light skinned, and then I was dark skinned, and it was, lighter complected. I think I was the darkest one out the group. And I did not. I ain't gonna say I didn't. I always saw myself. I don't want to say that, but y'all, I'm gonna say this, and I ain't got the big head. And Mikael know what I mean when I ain't got the big head. That's a Southern term. I ain't got the big head, but I never considered myself unattractive. I'm gonna put that out there. I never saw my skin complexion as being unattractive. But when I got to college, I started feeling it because we would go to these parties. And keep in mind, I went to college in Memphis. I stayed in Memphis. We would go to these parties, college parties, and I ain't gonna say my light skinned friend was not the cutest girl in the room. I gonna say that, but I never saw her. I was never one of those that compare. How can I say that in a nice way? Trying to find the nicest way to say this. It wasn't nothing that was just like, oh, she's beautiful, to make me think that every man in the room was gonna run to her. But every man would run to her, and that's when I started feeling. I said, wait a minute, what is going on? I mean, and it didn't bother me because I got my, I was younger. I had my own guys that would come to me that was attractive. But the first thing they would say to me that would piss me off, and to this day it still pisses me off, you are so pretty to be a dark-skinned girl.
Yes, I have heard that. I have heard that several times.
You are so beautiful to be a dark-skinned girl.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's basically the internalized racism
Yes.
that we have to deal with, because in this country we have been taught to value whiteness. So
Yes.
the closer to whiteness that you are, the more beautiful you become. And obviously this is, it's a false beauty when you think about, the lighter you are, the more beautiful you are, or these backhanded comments, like just like you said, you're very beautiful to be dark skinned, that type of thing. Even with me, because I was known to have that quote unquote good hair, because my mom's Filipino and my dad's black, and typically a black mixture with another ethnic group, especially white, the babies normally turn out to be, to have that, that sharp curly hair.
Yes.
And so, I had to live with that. And also too, it also came with, just because I look like a pretty boy, that meant that I was soft, or, that I would get tried on because of the fact that, I was that pretty boy. So a lot of the guys would just test me because they think I wouldn't fight back, or, I was just, I was soft. But that's that internalized racism that we have been taught amongst ourselves. The colorism, just talking about, dark people, they don't have a chance of advancement because of the fact that, of the way they look. And even with the names, sometimes our names, are ethnically associated with, black people. When you're talking about some of the names that our parents have given us, and even people from the continent, who have those African names, they sometimes it's hard for them to get a job because of the fact that some of these people look at the resumes and kind of see what their names are. So it's a dynamic that we've been living under since we've been in this country. But something that we have to be more conscious of in order to, we got to be more conscious of it in order to fight it.
Yeah. And we delving into another. I'm gonna change the whole title and the whole thumbnail on this because it shifted, which I'm good with. I don't care about what these conversations shifted. Wherever we land, we just land there. It's that whole psyche of, and it derives from the slave trade and the mindset through the Willie Lynch mindset, where the lighter skin slaves would be the house ones, and the darker skin would be less than, so they would have to be in the field. And the sad part is we took that mindset and took it into post slavery, and said that light skin means that you're educated, you're beautiful, you're more refined, but dark skin means you're grimy, you're masculine, because I used to always make sure I was overly feminine, because it was always an assumption that because I'm dark skinned, I'm masculine. And again, it comes from that, and you are right, Goddess. Light skinned guys would have it the hardest sometimes because they were known as soft. So they had to be overly aggressive sometimes because guess what? They looking at them like they soft. Back in the day, who was the singers that everybody liked, but they were considered to be soft? I'll be sure. Christopher Williams, y'all, them the light skinned singers. But they also were, you didn't see them as being hard roles. Great example in the movie. What's the movie with the drug movie about
New Jack City. New Jack City.
who was the hard one? The dark skinned man.
Yeah,
And
Wesley. Yeah.
Wesley Snipes was the hard one. Who was the soft one?
What's his name? Dino. Was his name Dino?
Christopher Williams.
What was
Christopher
that?
Williams got beat
Yeah.
up and smacked. And it's just a persona that they colonizers utilized to create more division. Another great movie, School Days. School Days played a big role into who I am now. That I never allowed my dark skin to cause a problem with me and cause me to be insecure about who I am as a dark skinned woman. Because you had and you had the ones that were called the jigaboos and the wannabes. Y'all remember that? You saw that on the college campuses though, where the dark skinned girls were treated one way and the light skinned girls were treated one way. And you felt it, but it wasn't because of the movies. Spike Lee did an excellent job displaying that and was trying to make people look at you like you are the same people. But we have our own issues within our own fundamental black, what is it, FDA? They call it fundamental descendants of Africans. I think that's what they call it. But we're ADOS, we have our own issues that we have to fight through. But then while we're doing that, we still have the diaspora wars that we're dealing with. And what I hate is we're the more we come together, the more we begin to see the ways that we're hurting each other. Does that make sense, y'all? I hope
No. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just gonna point out like something that Ashonda had said, right? She made a comment. It says, "You are what your parents." I would just add to that, like grandparents and/or guardians emphasize. If they speak beauty over you, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I was the light-skinned ugly duckling until I wasn't, and that is like so true. Like in my family, we have like a lot of high yellow like women, and they are beautiful, and they're not beautiful because they're high yellow. They're beautiful because feature wise they are beautiful. And I used to sometimes like feel as if like I wasn't like up to the standard. And my granddad, he used to always tell me, he would always tell me, you are prettier than most and you are just as pretty as any. And for me to just remember that, when I start to feel like down, and I think that really helped me like a lot of the time, as far as like not to be arrogant, but like to build self-esteem and to have confidence, and to feel like I am worth it. I am, so I think that, what we are told by, the people who raise us and what they instill in us, it really does matter.
It does. It gives you that level of confidence when you do get in the world, when they do put uh the stereotype on you, if you're jigaboo, or the stereotype of you're soft because you're light skinned, or if you're African, you're an African booty scratcher. I don't know what type of checks they have for the Jamaican or Caribbean community, but y'all get what I'm saying. That if you have enough in you, it's kind of like you already know who you are. You already know who you are, so nobody can define who you are. But some of those darts still somewhat sting. it still stings, and we still have to heal from it. You know, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. I never questioned my beauty because of my dark skin. Never questioned my beauty. Where others questioned their beauty. And I was always that one person in the room, like, I don't care what you think. I was out, and I hate to say this, y'all tell me if I'm doing the most. If don't nobody else think I was cute in the room, I thought I was cute. Because I had that in my family to tell me, you got to love yourself before the world can even understand what it means to love you. So that when they don't love you, you don't have a problem with it. So my mom always pushed that. You see how, pushed, and most people didn't get that. So when I went into college and I started noticing, wait a minute, I'm the dark skinned girl in the room. Oh, so the light skinned girls, they're considered to be the sweet and just, and it was obvious, the sweet and dainty. And then it's like I'm treated as if I got to be overly feminine to mask the fact that y'all think that dark skinned women are masculine, because I've heard that numerous times. So, and I hope I'm making sense, and tell me if I'm making sense. But with that being said, you are right. We have to train our children to love who they are, so that they can understand that the world will see you one way, but what do you see when you look in the mirror?
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And I actually got a family story in regards to that. And, I think we said it earlier, it goes back to slavery and how the slave masters had taught us to, look at ourselves and who's the best among us. It was always the light-skinned people. But my great grandfather, who was born into slavery, he was the product of my great great grandmother, who was an Igbo Nigerian, captured into slavery, and she was raped by her slave master and produced my great grandfather, who was half white, half black, and he was very light skinned. And so my father is actually the darkest among his 5 siblings. And one day, my father got into it with a couple of the neighborhood kids who basically, made fun of him, called him darky, and all kind of things. So he got into this fight, and my grandfather, who was staying with him at the time, had broke it up, and he asked my father, would you get into a fight for? And so he was telling them that they were teasing him about his dark skin. And my grandfather told him, he said, don't ever be ashamed of your dark skin. He said that you got the skin of your grandmother or his mother. You got good blood in you. He said, look at my skin. I'm light. I got bad blood in me, because he was talking about his father. His father was the one who was the slave master. He was like, my blood is tainted. He said, you got good blood in you because your skin is dark. And he said, don't ever be ashamed of your dark skin. And ever since then, my father was always a proud dark skinned man. Like, you couldn't tell him nothing. So that, and it's interesting when you think about my great grandfather, who was a slave all the way up until he was about 8 or 9 years old, when the Civil War ended. But he always was conscious about his skin. My father always said he hated his light skin. He hated his light skinness because of the fact that his father was the slave master. He never ever actually looked at him as a father. He was a slave. He was a slave master. So I kind of find that interesting in that particular dynamic, that somebody who experienced slavery had to tell my father that his skin was actually good.
That's good. You know what? I do want to have more conversations about this, because colorism is something, and we even talking about the Dispora Wars far as Americans not having culture and how it has the conversation has shifted over into colorism, and how colorism has affected our community, the Black community as a whole. Even going as far as even college, like I think college was so embedded in me is because that's when I realized I was the dark skinned girl in the room.
Yeah, it's this colorism thing is you know, it's you know, like I said, it's something that was
Yes.
ingrained in us. But you know, I want to talk about this going back to the culture wars again,
Okay.
because
Colorism is a whole nother conversation within itself. So we'll reconvene on this one, y'all.
but you know, but you know, like in the last couple of years, we've had this labeling of ourselves, the ADOS or Foundational Black Americans, or you know, whatever, and basically these identities have all revolved around the conversation of reparations, which, you know, I support. You know, I think that we should. You know, I don't even think it's even an argument if we should get it or not. It's something that is owed to us.
Correct.
So I want to make that clear. However, these reparation battles that we've been having, I just cringe when I hear about these conversations of you know, exclusiveness, or you know, just kind of like the, how should I put it, the xenophobia that's been going on with Black people.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that we don't want these continental Africans, you know, muscling in on our reparations, or our Caribbean Africans muscling in on our reparations. You know, this type of conversation is just, I mean, it's gotten real ugly now. And I just feel like the identity that we have carved ourselves in, because yeah, we do have an identity here, but I just feel sad about the fact that it's all revolved around reparations.
It is.
And I don't think that, I think that this identity should not be revolved around a capitalist type of cause. And I say capitalist because many people feel like reparations is just like, you know, they owe us money. And it's really more than that. It's about repair. It's about how much this country that was built off the backs of ours, how do this country repair us to be actual citizens in the United States? Because a lot of us are way behind in regards to every metric that it means to be an American citizen, when you're talking about healthcare and education and just, you know, not being shot by police, that type of thing. but you know, the reparations conversation has just got so convoluted now. It really hurts my heart that it just, and many I think that it's been co-opted as well, for us to think this way. Because like I said, if you really want to know, I mean, if you really want to calculate how much this country is owed us, as far as, you know, as far as just slavery itself, I'm not even talking about like Jim Crow and racism, just slavery itself. I just feel like we cheapen ourselves when we keep asking when they're going to write the check for us. Okay, so they write you a $300,000 check. Is that going to be enough for you to lift yourself out of, you know, out of the depths of where we're at as Black people? I don't know. And for most of us, I don't think so. But, you know, we're so eager to get this quote unquote check that we're not really studying how much is really owed to us.
Oh.
And so for me, and I know Sandy Darity has wrote a book about it, and he's studied it and everything like that. But even from his research, I don't even think that's enough. Because if you look at the means of production and what this, what our ancestors have done to build this, to be actually the superpower that we are now.
Yes.
And so for me, I feel like this. It's like the simplest way I can describe this is if somebody asked me, well, what does this country owe Black people? So I basically say, take the GDP of this country, which I think last year was like $14 trillion or something like that. Take half of that and give it to Black Americans for the next 218 years, which is the time we've been in slavery. That's how much they owe us.
Yep.
That's how much they owe us.
I don't think going further than just the slavery, because reparation goes deeper. And when people talk about slavery, it goes much deeper. With just this, the years of slavery, it goes post-slavery, the trauma behind post-slavery, the trauma behind, and I want us to have this conversation because this is a good conversation to have. And I've had a few conversations about reparation, and I've never done follow-ups on it. So y'all, family, I apologize for not doing the follow-ups on these conversations like I should have. But it goes, further than just the slave part, because after slavery, you had the Jim Crow racism, you had redlining, you had the what is it they call it, the whole situation with the Rosewoods and all those different incidents where they were destroying Black wealth to make sure Black wealth never, because man, people don't realize Black wealth was heavy. And if we would have continued with the multiple Black Wall Streets, because it wasn't just one Black Wall Street in Tulsa, it was multiple Black Wall Streets all over the US. If we would have continued, we would have been a strong economic power. And they saw it at the very beginning of the game and said, let's destroy this quickly. Because these individuals were able to cultivate and build culture and build communities that can stand on their own, and they don't need our economy.
Well, see, here's I think that the pushback. This is where I give kind of pushback from that, because many people think that our liberation is dependent on on drawing wealth, and drawing this economy, this economic. Well, many people think that our liberation is basically primarily due to lack of economics. And I think it's more than that, because we have in this history of the country, just like you described, we have had wealth building communities that have sustained us. But I think we need to look beyond that. And the problem is that when we have this economic wealth, but we don't have anything to defend it, and especially in the context of the United States, where they have been terrorizing us for more than 400 years, I think we're really missing what liberation really is.
Yeah.
As far as just us being just free people, free to do what we want to. Because what's going to happen is the next time we build a community that circulates the dollar and draws all this wealth, what are they going to do? They're going to send the police, they're going to send the army to come and destroy it. So how do we defend it? How do we stop that?
Yeah, you're right. And that's so interesting you said that, because I was thinking about, what if they did? Think about it. Let's think through it. What if they did give us? We wake up one morning and they say every Black American will receive a check for, let's say, I'm gonna throw a price out there, $5 million. Anyone that's a descendant of a slave, you get your 5. Mikael gets his 5. I get my 5. My daughter gets her 5. Your family gets your daughter, your wife gets her 5. All of us will get our 5. And then we all collectively come as a community and say, you know what? I'm finna take my 5 million and I'm gone. Like a lot of people I know, they're saying, I'm gone. Where is the liberation to the point where we know we're gone, but we know when we're gone, what are they going to do? This is when I guess my faith kicks in, because that's when God is going to have to protect us. Because wherever we go with this money, without God's protection, they're going to find us. And they're going to do what they did with Black Wall Street, what they did with Rosewood. Because, again, it's fear of Black wealth, fear of Black liberation. That's their biggest fear. Of us being liberated instead. And I think a lot of their fear comes from the insecurities and wondering if we gonna get, I love to say this because my daughter says it now, get my leg back. That's their fear. Are they gonna try to get their leg back? And their own personal insecurities of us.
Well, the one thing that we have to always remember is white supremacy is global. So
correct.
You can't run from it. Even if you leave this country, white supremacy is global. Even even in the continent of Africa, because many leaders there are controlled by they're controlled by white European nations. Many people feel like, say, Nigeria, which is the largest country land-wise and economically, controlled by still controlled by the British via remote control. But it's something that we have to confront. And the only way we can confront it is just confronting it. We just can't run from it. We have to do something about it. We have to change the system, because if we don't, we will be under constant threat. We will be under constant oppression, and we have to do things that basically changes the system. So obviously, we can't depend on, and this is just my opinion, because as much as like I said, I have no argument that we're owed reparations. They're not going to give it to us. That's just a simple truth. They're not going to give us reparations. As much as we have these talks, as much as Congress tries to, make us believe that they're serious about this, they're not going to give us the true reparations that is owed to us. We have to fight for it. And in order to fight for it, we have to gain some type of political power to fight for it. And unfortunately, if we get to a point where we gain political power to force this country to give us reparations, we might not even need it at that point. I mean, it'd still be good to have it, but if we gain enough political power, say like, the Jews, do, then we would have, we would really not even need reparations if that's the case. But I just don't think that this country is just going to hand over reparations just because they feel sorry for us, or even though we're owed this money. We have to force them to pay us.
I see your point. And I think it will be something this country will never admit. A part of giving reparation is admitting they did a wrongdoing. And because of the arrogance driven by white supremacy, they will never admit that they did wrong. That's the first thing. It's not just the monetary thing, it's the arrogance of this nation. They could never admit that they're wrong. And because of their lack of, or their inability to be truly apologetic, they're not going to do it. But we know that we serve a God that can shift the tides and say, look, y'all are required to do certain things. I really believe my heart of hearts belief system is, I believe that the reparation is going to be driven from a United Nations or global decision and not a U.S. decision. Because U.S. alone is not going to do it. They're not going to do it, but it's going to be something that they're going to have to be made to do. Any thoughts on that?
I totally agree. I definitely agree. And what's unfortunate is when we think about the history of our struggle and how we look at our struggle through blinders, because yes, a lot of our struggle, we have done, a lot of our ancestors have done very much hard work. But what we don't realize is that we've also had international help in our struggle. When you talk about the civil rights movement, when you talk about the Black Power movement, there were countries who were willing to help us in these struggles. And a lot of the international help helped move the needle. I mean, why do you think that in the civil rights struggle, the non-violence movement, why do you think that many of the films of the beatings and the fire hoses and the dogs being sick, you don't think that people across the country was not watching that? That's part of the international struggle, and that was intentional. So sometimes we miss the point of the civil rights struggle. Yes, we played a major part of it, us as Black Americans here, but it wasn't until the world started seeing this that the needle started being moved. And we have to remember that, because we cannot win the struggle without international help.
I agree. I so agree. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a world event. And it's not, and I love how this conversation shifted. And I don't mind that the conversation is shifting. But it's going to have to be a world event. But if it's a world event, it's not just going to be a Black Americans to get reparations. If the world gets engaged in this conversation, I'm going to be happy for the Brits giving Africa their reparation from stealing all the things that they stole from the continent. The French giving Haitians their reparation because they're owed. The Spaniards giving the Dominican Republic their owed reparations. I think it's the Spaniards. All these nations that had a play in the how can I put it? The oppressive nature they have over melanated people as a whole. I think I would be happy to see that. But I honestly think the conversation has to start with Black Americans. Then it's going to shift over to other nations that's old. Any thoughts, y'all?
Well, I'm gonna say this. Just dealing with America alone, just on reparations. My daddy told me when somebody give you a gift, they gonna want something in return. So America is just like that. She gave reparations to every other nationality that they owe reparations to. The only reason they gave it because they looked at something they gonna gain in the long run. Every nationality that's over here that got reparations, they have something we don't have as Black America. They have a government. They have land. They have resources. They give us reparations. They think that, well, what we gonna get in return out of this? They gonna want a return on their money. They gonna want something.
I see what you're saying. I don't think they're gonna get it. I think it's gonna be. Y'all have my own little thoughts. Y'all know how I
I'm
think.
just saying, far as right now, if America give it to us, they're looking at it like they ain't got a government, they ain't got a land, they don't have resources, they don't own oil, they don't own nothing. What we gonna get? What we gonna get back in return off of this? Far as that part, I'm just saying that's how they are looking at it.
I agree. That's how they're looking at it in the long run. Now, I will say, and I'm gonna let everybody chime in. If they looked at it from an economic standpoint, where they're going to see a downfall is they're going to look at that money being recirculated into the economy. And when I say it, I mean it like this. When I get my, let's say I get my reparation, in their heads, they automatically assume that, oh, she's going to go buy clothes, cars, probably ain't going to invest in real estate as much, but she going to put her money towards things that's going to revitalize the economy. Meaning I'm going to go buy a house. I'm going, not even a house. I'm going to go buy a car. I'm going to buy all the Gucci, all the clothes, all this. And they're looking at it, but what's going to backfire on them if I think different and say, I'm not going to buy all these things. I'm going to go buy what I need to go buy. I'm going to go buy land. I'm going to get away from here. Or I'm going to buy land here. You know, so that's how they would look at it. I think they would look at it from an economic standpoint. That money would be recirculated back into the economy again. That's what I would say.
Hey.
I might be wrong, and I don't mind being wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. Anybody? Hey, Mac, what's up?
Hey, not to jump the line. I've been running all day out here trying to hustle up some money and working a little bit. And I just pulled up in front of the house, but I just wanted to chime in real quick if the brothers don't mind. And I see you got Gardis and a couple other brothers. So how y'all doing this evening? Great to see everybody. And it's good to be on this side of the grave. Last week I lost my aunt, and just lost a friend on we never met before, but we've been friends since way back in Black America Web. We were a group of us that met from Tom joined Black America Web back in the early 2000s, and we've been hanging tough ever since then. And one of them had, so it's just been kind of a weird week. We know that death is part of life. 100% of us going to die unless Jesus come back tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But we do have the hope of the resurrection. And so on this topic of reparations, I heard what the brother was just saying, but I don't think that the United States government paid anybody reparations thinking that they were going to get anything out of it per se. I think that they were kind of forced to by either embarrassment or guilt or something, whatever it was, like, for the American Indians, for example, the indigenous people of Americas, the reparations that was paid to them, all the 1,000 different treaties they broke, and go on and on. For the bombing of Hiroshima and those who were affected, the United States government paid, reparations to those victims. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Brother Gardis probably know this. The Japanese U.S. citizens that was mistreated by the government, I think they were paid reparations too, if I'm not mistaken. So it goes on and on. Reparations to the descendants of slaves, American slaves or African slaves, however you want to look at it, is not a gift. It's a debt that was never paid and it's owed. It was a debt that should have been paid. They gave us our 40 acres in the mule like they were supposed to. Many of us would have been in the, today, many of our families would be in a different position. If they had not instituted laws or allowed Jim Crow, if they had not dismantled the Reconstruction period, a lot of us would be in a different position today. But for white supremacy and Jim Crow laws, here we are today. And I'm not making excuses for those, because you hear some people say, I'm not making excuses for those who are lazy and don't want to do it. I'm just talking about how the dominant society has a leg up and always have had, and will fight tooth and nail to make sure they continue to keep it. So when it comes to reparations, I don't see anybody ever just giving it up. It's going to take changing the hearts and minds of some of the younger folk over time. And in my opinion, that's why there's a concerted effort by the hard right to make sure that the minds of the young folk is not changed. That's why they want to draw history books. They want to revamp the educational systems, because there's too many of these white kids that get it and they're seeing what has happened through history. You follow what I'm saying? And learning true history. And they no longer want that. So they want to change our education system, and they want to take us back to 1950 or 1940, whenever America was great in their mind. and that's where they want to do it. I've heard them stay out of their own mouth. I've heard Charlie Kirk say uh, that he wants to undo the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 1968. I mean, a matter of fact, if they could go all the way back to the Emancipation Proclamation, they would get rid of that too. But just throwing that out there. And I'm gonna say this last thing and land my plane or crash it, whichever one y'all think I'm on. But and most of anybody that out there in the chat that knows me knows I'm a Christian, and but there are what we call white Christian nationalists. We keep it 100, and they don't represent all Christianity. They don't represent all white Christians. I want to say that up front, but they are a growing movement. And I heard one of them say, he was kind of letting the cat out the bag. Their ideal of Christianity is dominance. Their ideal of of nationalism is oppression, dominance, forcing everyone to live according to their ideology and rules. Number one, is not American. Number two, it's not Christian. It's antithetical to everything that Christ taught. So these people are dangerous. We shouldn't be playing around with them, and you got politicians flirting with them for favor. I don't think some of these politicians even care about some of that stuff, but because it keeps them in power, they flirt with these people. And I think those politicians that flirt around with people like this should be handled politically, if that makes sense to y'all. So I'll hang out for a minute before I drop off, and if anybody had any rebuttals or feedback or whatever.
So here's my perspective. Don't think reparations will be a problem. We will get it. Scriptures say we'll get it. We'll leave with it. I don't think that's the issue. Secondly, what people want to do with their money, that's their business. I think that puts an unnecessary stumbling block on getting it, right? I don't care if you want to buy whatever, I don't care, whatever, right? I think that's unnecessary stumbling block. The issue is what does life look like afterwards, right? And I think that we need to be focusing more on what I would like to call special administrative zones or special economic zones, but much more special administrative zones. With that type of money, we need to start setting up special administrative zones someplace, maybe Africa, wherever. I mean, I don't know where Israel is. I don't know where the wilderness will be either. But we have to set up that for our people so that we can be a bit more autonomous. We can preserve our wealth and not be taken advantage of. Because like one of the brothers said on the panel, white supremacy is everywhere. And I've been living abroad for August will be 20 years. And he's spot on with that. Even in Africa, right? They'll take advantage of you, right? Because we're seen as Americans. Like outside of like in America, we're black. Outside of America, we're Americans. So, and that goes to like the Dispora Wars and stuff like that, where we don't have no culture because basically everybody looks at us as a white man with black skin. So I think that's where we need to focus.
I've heard that before, but continue on.
That's when we need.
Bastard. I've heard that.
Yeah. Every like the Chinese, like even Chinese, right? They will not consider you African when they'll look at you and say, "Oh, are you from Africa?" Whatever. But as soon as you open your mouth, as soon as you speak, you're just a white person in black skin. You're not African anymore. In Africa, you're a white person in black skin.
Yep.
Right. We're not the same because even amongst them, they have different tribes. So this is the issue. Right, this is the issue moving forward. Life afterwards, just like with the civil rights, we fought for it, but we never calculated what does the black community look like after civil rights. And if we're going into the wilderness, if we're going into Israel, wherever that may be, we have to have some level of autonomy because it's not just going to Africa and investing. I think that is a big, big mistake because one of the biggest problems is that we cannot self-govern ourselves. To go to a place where we can worship truly worship. And for that, you need special administrative zones, or at least special economic zones. And with that type of money, those are the things that we need to see. No, I mean, whether they disagree or not. I mean, I've been living 20 years. I mean, abroad. So I mean, I lived and I go to Nairobi consistently. Well, Nakuru, like 2 hours away from Nairobi. So
Yeah. The interesting part is, somebody just said that I gotta disagree. We with Second Exodus to say we have white man's mentality. It's not necessarily white man's mentality. It's just we've become Hellenized with the culture that we've assimilated with.
Yeah.
We've assimilated with the culture because, if that's the case, the people of the Bible, they were calling some of them Greeks, but they were Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
But they were Hellenized. That means Hellenization is nothing but the same thing as assimilate. I've assimilated the culture and the environment that I'm in. It does not take away from my blackness, because I'm still black. I still deal with life as being black, but I've assimilated with my culture, the environment I'm in. I'm used to getting up. With Africa, what I've noticed with Africa, they're more into the thing of they have, creating their own businesses. It's not as a corporate mentality like we have.
Well, let me see if I could say, and I will say this to make it more relatable. I have a lot of like one of my good friends here. He's Chinese American, born and raised in Pittsburgh. He's here in China. And he speaks Chinese, but even still, they look at him a little bit different. He's not the same. They still call him foreigner, and he speaks Chinese. They still call him a foreigner in China.
Yeah, because he was born and raised in a different country.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so when you take that, when you sound American, you take that blue book, people see you as American first. Majority of places.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. If somebody think about it, our people across the pond in the British nations, in the Brits, as far as them being British, or in the UK, they've assimilated to the culture over there. Do I call them white because they've assimilated with British culture? No, they had to assimilate to survive. That's the best way I can put it. I have to assimilate with the culture here to survive, because that's how we had that's how we have to survive in the environment that we're in. Every culture coming over here have to assimilate. If you're Indian, you have to assimilate. If you're Hispanic, you have to assimilate. If you're any nation, you come over here, you have to assimilate with the culture, because that's how the culture communicates amongst each other. Now, our assimilation is a little bit different. Somebody said it was forced upon us. Yes, it was forced, but you can't say it was just us. Everybody who comes over here is forced upon them. I see Indians every day. I work with Indians all the time because I work in IT. They have to literally turn away, because Indians, if they're in India, they have 1,001 holidays. Anybody who works in IT knows that India will take a whole week off. And you'll be like, why? Because they're having this day. They take another holiday off. They have to, because they're in India and they're engulfed in their culture. We have to make changes to adjust to their culture. But if you're over here, most of them, well, not most of them, some of them do not celebrate their holidays because they've assimilated here just to make it day to day. So I don't think it's just us, because people are like, oh, you're taking on white culture. No, we've just assimilated with the environment. And I think this is going back to the original subject. My assimilation does not mean that I've given away my black culture. My black culture is still prevalent, very prevalent. But the environment that I'm in, guess what? They're the dominant culture. And because they're the dominant culture, guess what? Just like the Greeks, they spoke Greek. Just like us, we speak English. It's just the dominant culture. And I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think too that what people have to understand is that, especially after civil rights laws were enacted, people, black folks started spreading out more, um, intermingling, and then now today you got so many blended families, you got so many mixed families. Uh,
One
so
second, hold on
culture
one
wise,
second. So y'all seeing a lot of ads pop up. I'm so sorry. I got a big program in the background running, so I need to make some changes to it. I apologize to those who are frustrated by the commercials. The next live, I'll make sure and make sure the lives don't interrupt. So my apologies. So continue on, J Mac.
I was the first to complain about that. I said, I know I didn't get an ad in the middle of the broadcast. What's going on here?
My apologies. My next live, I'll make sure and include no ads.
But I'm saying this, and I'll land real quick. A lot of people will complain about how, quote unquote, united black community was, prior to desegregation, and that's just a fallacy. Black community was oppressed. The black community had no choice but to only deal with each other, and and our community did the best they could to make the best out of it. But it was not separate but equal. It was not equal. We didn't have equal resources. We didn't have equal education. There's a lot of things that were not equal, and there is not anybody. I challenge anyone to go find anyone who grew up in segregation era, who grew up in that segregation era as an adult or a child, that pine and long for those days to return. You find me one, because the way people talk about it now is like it was heaven, and it wasn't. And so, did some of our people just go overboard with desegregation, or what shall I say? Desegregation. Yeah, some of our people did, but the laws and the things that were passed were made to make things more equitable, and I wouldn't trade those laws for anything, because we have no idea or clue what it was like to live under Jim Crow. And I just wanted to say that. Now I'm gonna get out the way, y'all.
J Mac, you make an excellent point in regards to that, because I think sometimes we misread what the civil rights movement really meant. And many people automatically just assume that civil rights era was just about, integrating into white society. And technically, it really wasn't. That really wasn't the goal. When we think about the spirit of the civil rights movement was all about fighting for our humanity, to be recognized as human beings. That's what the civil rights movement was really, what it was really about. It was about being human, because just like J Mac said, during segregation, our ancestors was under Jim Crow, being lynched, and the lynchers not facing justice. This is inhumanity when you think about how we were treated in those particular days. But then when the 70s came around and the Black Power movement started to, when the movement started to shift, we started to see a group of people who were bored out the civil rights movement make the change from us being human to us actually changing the system, because we needed to have a more equitable system. Then it just became more dangerous, because when you think about, guys like Stokely Carmichael, who was basically under Dr. King during his time in the civil rights movement, to shifting to a more radical sense of freedom, then they become dangerous, because the civil rights movement didn't stop. It just morphed into something different, where the fight had to change on another level. But because this change was more was a little bit more powerful than what was happening in the civil rights movement, it had to be suppressed even harder. That's why many of the Black Panthers were either killed or shot. Many of the organizations during that time And I mean even like the radical white and Latino organizations, because if you remember during the 70s, that was a lot. There was a lot of late 60s, early 70s. There was a lot of the anti-war protests, which bore a lot of radical white groups like the Weather Underground, Latino groups who also fought against the system as well. But the problem was that we never picked up the baton. It wasn't from the civil rights movement. It was from that movement that we should have picked up the baton from.
Yep.
So-
I'm gonna have to change the thumbnail and the title on this one. But I want to say I don't want us to steer off of this, and but I know everybody's getting tired as well. The meat of this conversation is, and I'm gonna make the title is, what does it mean to be Black? Because and you can go ahead, hot sauce.
No, I'll wait till you finish.
I'm just saying, and that's the whole meat of this conversation, because what does it mean to be Black? And when you say what it means to be Black, what comes from our culture? What derives from our culture? What is the struggles of what it means to carry the burden? And I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to say it like this: the burden of being considered Black, because the burden behind it is the stereotypes, the colorism, the other individuals that look like us over across the pond, their viewpoint of us, because the colonizers made us look like we were lazy, we had no initiative, we were criminals. They have the same mentality when they see us. So that's the thing. I tell people, what does it mean to be Black? And people utilize Black as being Black Americans only, or ADOS, or FDA. It's a weight to carry. I don't take away from my Haitian brothers and sisters. I don't take away from my Caribbean brothers and sisters, my West Indian brothers and sisters, my African, my UK brothers and sisters. But I'm speaking from as someone who is Black that lives in this country. What does that mean? So I'm gonna have to change this whole title. But this was a good conversation. What were you getting ready to say, hot sauce?
Yeah, I want to say something because that's a very complicated question and a tough question. Because if it's true that we really are the children of the book, then that means that our experiences in America is that we don't have a culture, because part of the punishment was that we will lose our culture, right? We will be forgotten from the world. Not only will the world forget us, but we will forget ourselves also.
Now,
So,
I'm gonna correct you right here. When they speak
Mhm.
of that in the Bible, as far as losing our culture,
Uh-huh.
we're losing our original culture if we are the
Yeah.
people of the book. But not to say we didn't create a culture within our oppression. Because we
Well,
did.
no, but see, that doesn't make sense, because your original culture is just who you are, right? Either we are who we say we are in the book, or we're
That's the case.
slaves.
The whole world has no culture then, because
Well,
nobody.
no, that's not true, because
I mean,
Asian cultures are thousands years, African cultures are 1,000 years old
but
as well.
even with that culture, there has been there has been changes. There are certain aspects of African culture that they can't
Mhm.
trace back to 1,000 years ago. So I can't
So,
agree with you on that one on hot sauce, because again, the Bibles, and I don't want to get into that right now because
Mhm.
we can talk about that later. But us losing our culture derived
Mhm.
from us being who we are from a biblical standpoint. But far as us creating culture where we are in our state of oppression does not mean we don't have culture.
Well,
Because
because
even when you look at the culture that we have now, it's still remnants of the culture of where we came from. So I don't want to say, but the original culture was lost, yes. But to say that we don't have any culture, that's not correct.
No, because being a slave in America for the 400 years, we're talking about FBA ADOS. It's a makeshift culture to deal with the struggles and challenges of being consistently oppressed. That is not. That's just not.
But that totally goes against everything that we created, the music that we've created,
Yeah,
the clothes
I
we've
understand.
created.
Yeah, but
You can't
But
piss
we,
on that. In hot sauce, you can't piss on that. You can't push that to the side and say that doesn't matter.
but
Because
just hear me out
even
1 second.
okay,
Just hear me out 1
let
second.
me okay, I hear what you're saying, but even with that, you can't say that because even in the midst of our culture, we were able to, in our oppression, we were able to create culture. We were able to create art. We were able to create inventions. Your blood transfusion you have right now, the blood transfusion that you not that we have right now, derived from our Black community. Our people invented things. So where I do agree with you on is, yes, there was something that we lost from a biblical standpoint, but it does not piss on the current culture we have because it is still culture.
So I understand this is a very sensitive topic, right? And this is why sometimes, I find it, well, okay, so this is why sometimes I find it that even though we talk about, who we are as a people, we truly still don't really accept all the parts of the scriptures, even the difficult part. Because even when we talk about inventions and things like that, which you're absolutely correct, absolutely right about, right? But it talks about how the Gentiles or the oppressor will take credit for that, right? So, but even when it comes to inventions and things like that, right? That still doesn't represent.
That doesn't make sense. Hot sauce, you finna
Well, can
Okay, but I'll just
you ready?
because we're gonna disagree, and I accept your view.
Because the thing is, what you're literally doing is because of whatever we're talking about, far as oppression, you're
Mhm.
literally pissing on every single ancestor that was
I,
able
I'm
to
it's
create
not
culture in the midst of their oppression. What you're saying is, jazz, that's not culture. Blues is not culture. Gospel is not culture. Uh, all those very things that we love is no longer culture. No, you can't say that. You cannot say that, hot sauce. Hold on.
Can I say something? So hot sauce, whether you believe it's a makeshift culture, it's still a culture, but we have to understand too that culture is not static. Culture is still building here. And yes, we have not fulfilled, the biblical pinnacle of what
Mhm.
we should be as a culture people. Imagine living in a world pre-civil rights, segregation, Jim Crow. What were Black people thinking about? If you asked the Black person back then what their culture was, what would they say? They say they were from Africa, from the dark continent, that they didn't do anything in civilization. They have no knowledge of Egypt, and this was all before civil rights and Dr. King and Malcolm X and everything. They would definitely tell you during that time that, hey, we really don't have a culture except what the United States gives us, what white America gives us. But now we're in a space where we can look back at the struggles of our people in the 60s, 70s, and even 80s and 90s, and even up to today now, because now we have more information. And just like what Sister E said, and I don't entirely say music is our entire culture, because I don't believe hip hop is a culture. Hip hop is a genre. But
The
it's
hip hop is absolutely culture. It's been here for 50 years. It is religion to some people.
but that's what I'm saying. I think they're looking at that wrong. It's a music.
No, but we can't. That's unfair. You can't sit here and say jazz and this and that is a part of our culture, then say hip hop is not a part of the culture.
No,
So now
I don't include jazz as our entire culture either. I
no, I said
just say
a part of, right?
no, and that's what I'm saying. It is a part of. It is not our entire culture.
So then hip hop is also a part of.
Yes, hip hop is a part of our culture. Music is a part of culture. So what I'm
Correct.
saying is that many people think that hip hop is a culture. It is not a culture. It is part of a culture. And so
Right.
what I'm saying is that when you look at the music and what Black people have created over the decades, that is a part of a culture that we can basically stand on. Now, like I said, is it finished? No, it's not, because 20, 30, 40, hundreds of years from now, it's going to look different from what what we're talking about right now. But now there is a culture. There is a culture, whether it be makeshift or even incomplete. There's still a culture here.
Well, I will just say this because we'll just move on because we'll just I will just say what we have now are coping mechanisms, and I think that because if we talk about culture in its entirety, what we celebrate, right? What we celebrate, our holidays, our diet, our dietary habits, our music that we listen to today, right? That this cannot be culture because it kills us early. And culture is not supposed to kill you early.
No, I agree, but I mean,
so it can't because culture has if you're practicing things that dwindles your lifespan, it cannot be culture.
No, but if you look at the state of the world, everything is killing us. Wherever we're at, I mean, the entire environment is killing us because we're killing the earth. So, and then also too, when you think about some of the negative aspects of our behaviors, and I wouldn't even label it as culture.
I'm not even talking about the labor. I'm talking about the food we eat that gets us sick, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. The music we listen to makes us look at each other with a second or third eye, a side eye, right? So at the end of the day, we can just move on.
Well, if I can respond to that, real quick. When you talk about the foods that we eat, like I said, I would attribute that to the environment that we've been poisoning, because I have family members who live well into their 90s, not senile, not docile, not on wheelchairs or anything like that, who have eaten soul food all their life. None of them were vegan, but they live well into their 90s. However, what's happening to the food is being poisoned. That's not part of the culture. That's part of something else. When you talk about the music of hip hop has been poisoned by something else, and that is infiltrators who have poisoned our music of hip hop. Hip hop in its origin and its intent was never brought about to be a music of death. It's supposed to have been a music of either partying or social consciousness. It was never about gangsterism in the beginning, and it was never about killing or smoking weed or anything like that. So when you talk about hip hop music in its origin and in its state, the culture, it's the part of the culture itself. That's what we're talking about. But right now, that's not part of what hip hop was originally supposed to be made for.
Soul food, even during slavery time, even during the plantation time, before GMO and things like that, still was unhealthy for us.
Okay, I mean, like I said, I
right. So to your family, but that's not typical, right? We got to talk about the average. But anyway, we could just move on. Because we're just not going to see eye to eye on this. We could just move on.
And I don't agree with you either. I don't agree as well with hot sauce because But what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna have to cut the conversation because now I have like a house full of people. But I want to do a part 2 on this, and I'm gonna change the title on it, like what is Black culture. So we talked about Kai Cenat, what he said, whatever his name, Kai. What is his name?
Kai
Cenat. So, but we can reconvene. Anybody got anything to add before I close, and we'll do a part 2 to this.
No, I just will say, man. Like, no, I don't know because it's going to be interrupted. So no.
No, we can reconvene. This is a good conversation.
No, because whatever I say is just going to be interrupted, so I don't have anything else to say.
No, you don't have anything that's interrupted. I got to end it though because I got like a bunch of people that just walked in.
No, yeah, I'm good. I just think that we have to we really have to just kind of accept the curses for what they were or what it is. However.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank you, Sister E, for having me on, and
You know,
thank
you're
Hot
more
Sauce
welcome.
and many of the other people for having this conversation.
Goddess, you know you are our community Israelite. You know that, Father G. You know we love you. You know we love you. So, well, you know you always welcome. So, I do want to pull in our old crew. I know I want to have some more conversations like this. Everything is slowing down for me. So, but yeah, love y'all. Love the conversation we had. Do we have any more closing words before I
Yeah,
close out?
I do want to say this. Don't put a roadblock between people and their money, man. Let people spend money how they want, but get the reparations. Right? I think we need to I think we need to be on one accord on that. Just say yes, we need it, we're going to get it. I don't think we need to put like any other kind of stumbling blocks in between that.
I
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
I
Well,
agree.
y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us. I will
Shalom.
see y'all later on this week. Thank you so much, Hot Sauce. Thank you so much, Goddess. And y'all have an amazing evening. Thank you. Good night, family.